Okay, let's see what we are doing where. I don't know if I can. Nope. Okay, so we're not live on Facebook. Trying to get on Facebook, but what I'll do is copy this one. Me and my Facebook. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. No. Okay, whatever. That thing and me we don't sync up. We don't jive. Haven't, don't, whatever. That's not what I want. All right, hold on, guys. Let me just try to get this set. Try to take care of the Facebook, folks. Got to do that. All right, here. Let me just try to do it this way because it's there. At least we do that. Okay. Me and Facebook. And now I can't delete the post. There it is. I swear, if ever there was a bigger mismatch. Oh, goodness. And I'm being a little naughty here this morning. I've got a little trade on that's could be a problem, too. So just got all kinds of stuff going here. Okay. So Facebook is happy, and I think YouTube is happy now. Okay. So the reason I popped on here really was that I've been breaking through. I've been narrating this with the physical book. And you guys, if you've popped on, you've seen me turning pages and doing all kinds of stuff like this. And it's just been a struggle. So now I had this book scanner, and I got it out last night, and now I have the whole thing in digital. And I am so happy. So I can just scroll through everything. I don't have to turn page. It's just, my eyes were getting tired. It was hard to see. So I am so much happier. So this is chapter 17. Almost getting there. I mean, I'm on page 206 of 254, I think. So we're closing in. In the physical solar system, Saturn is the furthest out planet. Sorry. Through. In the physical solar system, Saturn is the furthest out planet the eye can see without the aid of a telescope. It represents the limits of the physical, five-sensory world. To get beyond the world of the five-sensory reality, one must undergo a transformative enlightenment. One must break through the illusion of the five senses. The illusion of the five-sense world as being the only reality. To get beyond the world of the five-sensory reality, one sensory world. To get beyond the world of the five-sensory reality, one must undergo a transformative enlightenment. One must break through the illusion of the five-sense world as being the only reality. Let me just get this saved real quick. Okay, come on back to Papa. That thing ran away from me while I was trying to get all this set up. Okay. Reality. There is no personal empowerment in the belief of the outer physical world as being the only world of reality. There is external power. World of reality. There is external power wherein one can force others. Okay. World of reality. There is external power wherein one can force others to his or. But the exercise of karma, it initiates and sustains an inhibiting pattern or script in the life, does not free the soul. To the contrary. Okay, Mary's all right. World of reality. There is external power wherein one can force others to do his or her will, but the exercise of such external power simply falls into the law of karma. It initiates and sustains an inhibiting pattern or script to one's life. It initiates and sustains to one's life. It does not free the soul. To the contrary, it keeps the soul in bondage to the pattern, to the cycle. The individual suffers in relationships of all kind, marriage, love, children, work, etc. The awareness of the suffering, the emptiness created by living and reliving these scripts, is most acute when Saturn transits over the natal angles and their midpoints. And their midpoints. Over the natal angles or their midpoints. These represent opportunities in faith. It is apparent at these times that efforts of external control simply do not work. They do not provide fulfillment. They do not provide a sense of meaning and purpose to one's life. To the contrary, one may now recognize that one's life is not fulfilled, is not meaningful, and in this awareness there may be despair and frustration. Despair and frustration. Frustration. Something is missing. Something is lacking, and the individual longs for an opportunity to redeem his or herself. The opportunity arises, but it requires the emergence of faith and the necessity of a commitment, two things that may threaten the ego. There's the emergence of faith and the necessity of a commitment, two things that may threaten the ego. Two things that may threaten the ego. The battle that ensues is one between the ego, or personality, and the soul. The soul does not actually battle the personality. It's the other way around. The soul will continue. It will survive. It will survive. But the ego also knows its existence is... Okay. It will survive. The soul will continue. It will survive. survive, but the ego also knows its existence is only temporary, and it fears death. Existence is only temporary. Also knows its existence is only temporary, and it fears death. Fears death. As mentioned in the previous chapter, the individual encounters opportunities to evolve on a regular basis, 8 times every 28 to 30 years. The last chapter was about Saturn moving around the chart. And now we're going to Neptune and Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay. It's every 28 to 30 years. 30 years. Or an average of 30 years. Or an average of about every 3.5, not that one, to 30 years, or on average about every 3.6 years. To 30 years, or an average of about every 3.6 years, when Saturn crosses one of the points related to the angles. Yet, in many, if not most cases, the personality refuses to surrender external control to the opportunity, or the gift of faith when it is offered. Or the gift of faith when it is offered. It is offered. Until it accepts the vital principle of faith. Principle of faith makes and carries through with a meaningful commitment. There is no real change of script. There is no real breakthrough in consciousness. However, when there is a voluntary act of faith and a commitment of responsibility, breakthroughs will follow. These breakthroughs are most likely to unfold during the transits of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, over the natal angles, their midpoints, and to some extent over the planet which rule the angles, particularly the midheaven and the IC. These breakthroughs are most likely to unfold during the transits of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, over the natal angles, their midpoints, and to some extent over the planet which rule the angles, particularly the midheaven and to some extent the planets which rule the angles, particularly the midheaven and IC. And to some extent the planets which rule the angles, particularly the midheaven and IC. In a given lifetime, it is possible that none of these planets will cross all of one's natal angles. The cycle of Uranus is 84 degrees, while that of Neptune is 164 and Pluto 248 years. Some individuals may live to experience Uranus crossing each angle, but it's doubtful that many will live to see Neptune or Pluto crossing more than 2 or 3 angles in a lifetime. These periods are extremely significant in the evolution of a soul, for they portend the times in which the personality may truly break through, when there is truly a crisis in consciousness, which is, in effect, an opportunity for real transformation. Which is, in effect, an opportunity for real transformation. In a sense, the personality may integrate with the soul, and the soul may thus have an experience or glimpse of oneness with spirit. If one has prepared properly under the Saturn transits, that is, if one has accepted the gift of faith, Saturn transits, that is, if one has accepted the gift of faith, then the crossing of Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto may gift of faith, then the crossing of Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto or Pluto may precipitate incredible experiences in consciousness, and their consequent results in outer experiences of a remarkable nature. If one has prepared properly under the Saturn transits, that is, if one has accepted the gift of faith, then the crossing of Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto may precipitate incredible experiences in consciousness, and their consequent results in outer experiences of a remarkable nature. If one has not made or honored the personal commitments required under Saturn transits, then the experiences encountered at the time of these more major transits may be equally remarkable, but the reactions of the native may be like those of one who is totally unprepared to meet a remarkable force. They could be shocking to the personality. But the reactions of the native may be like those of one who is totally unprepared to meet a remarkable force. They could be shocking to the personality. As presented in the chapter on developed abilities and powers of the soul, Uranus pertained to the first enlightenment, the first breakthrough in consciousness. It symbolized a point in consciousness when the soul became aware of a reality beyond the five-sense physical world. Truths were discovered that did not fit with the definition of reality one was taught. This new knowledge, or higher truth, arises when Uranus transits over any angle or ruler of any angle, especially the ruler of the IC or midheaven. It may also arise when Uranus transits over any angular midpoint. Or midheaven. It may also arise when Uranus transits over any angular midpoint. All right. I'm going to stop here. I've got a couple of things I need to take care of, but I just wanted to pop in. More fun and games. I'm sure loving this, though. I love that I'm on the iPad instead of the physical copy of the book. That makes a huge difference. Have a great Friday, TGI Friday, everybody.